Okay, thanks for coming. My name is Bahram Zandi. I'm co-chair of the International Committee of the Green Party US, and I'm going to talk about Mondragon Cooperatives, Humanity at Work. It's basically an alternative to capitalism. As with everything, I like to start everything with the history, the background history of it. So the origins of the cooperative movement. Cooperative movement stemmed from the socialist writings of thinkers including Robert Owen and Charles Fourier. It was in 1840s that in various European countries, UK, France, Germany, Denmark, cooperatives began to emerge, rapidly sketching of 4 different organizational models. The first one is the consumer cooperative, which you might be familiar with that. They are very common in most US cities also. Then there is production and work cooperatives. That's the one Mondragon is. We're going to concentrate. The third one is farming cooperatives, which started in Denmark in 1880s. And the fourth one is cooperative banks, or better known as credit unions. And that started in Germany in the mid-19th century by Franz Hermann Schulz, the Litz, 1852. The consumer or user co-ops. The first documented consumer cooperative was founded in 1769 in a barely furnished cottage in Fenwick, East Ayrshire, England, when local weavers manhandled a sack of oatmeal and began selling the contents at a discount, forming the Fenwick Weavers Society. It would be like if we go to Costco and get something in bulk and then divide it with our friends, something like that.
I got zero on that immediately.
In 1844, 28 textile weavers from Rochdale, a town north of Manchester, opened up the first cooperative shop, the Rochdale Society of Equitable Pioneers. The Rochdale Pioneers established the Rochdale Principles on which they ran their cooperatives. This became the basis for the development and growth of the modern cooperative movement. These are the Rochdale Principles of 1844. Number 1, open membership. They accepted anybody, regardless of political belief, religion, or whatever nationality. Number 2, democratic control. 1 man, 1 vote. So what do we have here in the US? $1, 1 vote. Number 3, distribution of surplus in proportion to trade. Number 4, payment of limited interest on capital. Number 5, political and religious neutrality. This is also important. They didn't care what their politics or religion was of the members. Number 6, cash trading, no credit extended. Number 7, promotion of education. Today, the cooperative group is the largest in the world. That's in the UK. Probably those who know about UK know this. It's 140 years of merger of many independent retail societies and their wholesale societies. You might also be familiar with the student housing co-ops, NASCO, Northern American Students of Cooperative, Federation of Housing Co-ops in Canada and the US, starting in '68. I lived in one in Eugene, Oregon, and they have branches in Berkeley, UCLA, Oberlin, Ohio, Ann Arbor, Michigan, and once we were a member of one, we could travel and stay at the others for free during our break. So I used to go to Berkeley and UCLA on my break time. That was a very good experience. I lived in a house with 40 people, and we did everything of that house ourselves. We wouldn't hire anybody. So everybody had a job, and it was democratically run. It was mixed, co-ed, and all persuasions. And I had 3 jobs. One job I had was I was a cook once a week, which everything was organized. There was menus ready, everything was ready, the material ready, I just had to go follow the instructions. Then I was a van driver once a week. I would go to the supermarket and buy wholesale stuff. And third one, I had a job, office job. I was membership coordinator. I would match roommates and all that. So that kind of stuff. Very good experience, my first cooperative experience.
Did anybody do the janitorial work, or was that?
Yes,
designated?
the undesirable works were distributed by lottery system. Yeah,
A lottery, okay. And you never got to do the janitorial work?
well, I was lucky, you know. I mean, I usually managed to get the ones I wanted. So, but there were other people who always. I mean, it was very democratic. But one thing that was very important that happened while I was there, we actually managed to get on the student body of University of Oregon. The student body decides how to spend the fees. You know, students pay tuition and fees. The fees, it's this extra money that the student body decides. And before that, the Greek system, the fraternity sororities used to have the student body. They would decide to spend the fees, and what they would do is would buy some silly things. They would buy new uniforms for cheerleaders or something like that. But when we took over, we would give money to peace groups on campus. You know, there was a big difference.
Cheerleaders had to go without, huh?
Well, progressive groups. Okay, now worker co-ops, which the Mondragon is one. Worker cooperative is a cooperative owned and self-managed by its workers. The philosophy that underpinned the worker cooperatives rose to prominence during the Industrial Revolution, 1760 to 1820, as part of the labor movement. So you see that the Industrial Revolution started in England, and so the cooperatives started in England. Worker co-ops kind of went hand in hand right after that. Now this is Mondragon. It's a view from the top. This is a valley in the Basque territory in north of Spain. Around it is all mountains. So it's kind of difficult to get to, these windy roads, and you could go by bus or car. No train actually goes there. So it's very green, and I went there last year for that visit. Now here's the history of Mondragon. 1941, Father Arizmendi Arrieta arrives in Mondragon. Now, his background, he was in further up in the Basque, where there was civil war. And Franco was heavily fighting the Basques. The Basques were supporting the Republicans, and Franco was against them. So, he was in Guernica. If you know, that city was totally destroyed by Franco. And Picasso has a famous drawing, the Guernica. So after that, he comes to another mission in Mondragon, which was a small village. And in 43, he sets up the Professional Polytechnic School. In 56, the first co-op is created, Ulgor, which was the abbreviation from the first letter of the last names of all the people who joined it. After that, he went to get loan from the banks, and the banks were very hesitant to give the cooperative loans. So he said, okay, we make our own bank. So he made this bank, Caja Laboral, the workers' bank, and he offered more interest than the regular bank, so people put their money in there. People from all over went to put money there because he was giving more interest.
Beyond the area, in other words?
In Mondragon.
Okay, just for the people. The bank was
Anyone could open an account there.
even outside of the area?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And people who wanted more interest, they went there.
Right, okay.
So then he also started their own social welfare system. So they are now outside the Spanish social welfare. They have their own social security system, which is much better system they have actually. And the first cooperative group was formed in '64, and the student working in a worker co-op, '66. The first research center in '74. The creation of Mondragon Cooperative Group in '87, and the corporation was in '91, and in '97 they created the university. Okay, today it's the largest business in Basque. It's the fourth largest in Spain. It has 83,000 employees full-time, 20,000 employees part-time. It's a famous chain of supermarkets called Eroski. It's all over Spain. And I've shopped there, it's really good. They had 6 billion euros industrial sales and 7 billion euros retail sales. Now, there is a difference between the full-time and the part-time. The full-times are members. The part-times are non-members. They're just working for them. But they offer higher wages than the local equivalent. So they attract. But then they say there is always a waiting list for these part-times to become full members. So we'll get to that later. And this is the formation of the co-ops. There's a total of 110 cooperatives. 76 of them are industrial. They make things like elevators, escalators. When I was traveling all over Spain, then I noticed, oh, this elevator I'm in is made by Mondragon, or the escalator. You could recognize the brands that they produce. One credit union, one consumer co-op, which is that Eroski supermarket. 4 agricultural, 8 educational, 15 research and development, and 5 services, consulting, engineering, food, and insurance. A total of 110 co-ops. These are their cooperative values: cooperation, participation, social responsibility, and innovation. This is their official mission, as it's on their site. Mondragon Cooperative Corporation is an entrepreneurial, socio-economic entity with deep cultural roots in the Basque Country, created by and for the people, inspired by the basic principles of our cooperative experience, committed to the community, to the improvement of competitiveness, and to the satisfaction of customers, to create wealth within society through entrepreneurial development and job creation, preferably membership jobs in cooperatives. And in summary, they are based on a commitment to solidarity. They use democratic methods, again, one person, one vote, not $1, one vote, like Citizens United suggests. Encourage the participation, integration in management, profits, ownership. Harmonizing projects aimed at social, business, and personal development. Now, here are their basic principles. If you see, they are very similar to the Rochdale principles of 1844. So Father Arizmendi was reading all this English material from cooperatives, and he adopted these. Again, number 1, open admission and neutrality. Now, this neutrality was very important for them because this was the time of Franco. They didn't want to be openly political. They didn't want to take sides, even though they had, but it would be dangerous for them to take. So they didn't want to take sides, so they were neutral. Democratic organization, that's one vote, one man, and sovereignty of labor, instrumental and subordinate nature of capital. This is what's the difference between the capitalist organization and the cooperative. The capital is subordinate, not the other way around. Capital is not ruling them, it's working for them. Labor. We'll come to that pyramid later. Participatory management. Wage solidarity, that's very important. The highest wage cannot be more than 6 times the lowest. What is it in Walmart? 1,000 times. The CEO of Walmart makes $10,000 an hour. And the lowest minimum wage, you see, more than 1,000 times difference. Now, number 7 is the key to their success, inter-cooperation. See, they have this network of co-ops. If one goes down, the others have to take care of it. This is the key that they have survived this 50 years without having to lay off anybody. Now, co-ops in other places exist, but they go down if there is a crisis, and there is nothing to help them. But because they have this network, they cover each other. This is the key for their success. Social transformation, university, and education. Okay, this is that inter-cooperation diagram. So you see there is a network of co-ops, and there are 4 pillars: educational, welfare, health, mutual, financial, and R&D centers. So these are key to their success. They are self-reliant. They have their own education system, their own research center, their own financial system, their own welfare system, and their own network. Okay, this is the structure within a co-op. General Assembly. At least once a year, they meet to elect the board of directors. Again, based on one worker, one vote. For 4 years. Half of them being replaceable in 2 years. The board assigns the department managers and the general manager, CEO, for 4 years. You see, this is the difference. Workers hire and fire their managers, not the other way around. This is their official structure system that shows that General Assembly, the highest body, and the governing council, general manager, and departments.
I noticed you had it called Watchdog Committee or something,
Which one?
in the last slide.
Auditors, right?
Well, it's true, it's accounting, auditors, and a watchdog committee. Those are chosen, the watchdog committees, are they chosen by the General Assembly or by the accounting auditors?
Well, accounting auditors. That's the
Okay.
Then that's branches, the way it follows.
Okay. No, 'cause that sounds like they're watching each other in a sense.
Yeah, basically that's another benefit they have. They don't need to hire supervisors. They watch themselves.
Okay.
They supervise their own work.
I wonder if there's sort of looking for like a difference, like sometimes the watchdog committee, people who are on the auditing, accounting, auditing, and after a while they go into the watchdog committee, or is it the other way around, where they start as the watchdog committee and go to the accounting auditors?
Well, I'm not sure, but according to this, it goes that way, from accounting to
Oh, two watchdogs?
watchdog.
Okay,
But I'm not sure. That's
okay, I'm just curious.
that's
so.
good. They're,
Yeah.
I know. Now, membership rules to enter Mondragon. Relocation of staff among cooperatives, restructuring results from the gross profits. Within cooperative funds in Mondragon, 10% goes to investment funds, 2% goes to education fund, 2% to solidarity fund. That's what's used when they have a crisis and they're going down. For compensation in case of losses. Okay, gross minus tax is equal to net. So then from the net, solidarity and profit distribution, net profit for each co-op, from that, 10% goes to education fund, 45% to reserve, and 45% is the returns to workers, which is reserved, it's like the retirement. And it collects 7.5% interest.
Mhm.
Initial capital is 15,000 euros in 2014 to join. So they have to come up with that for membership. Now, if they don't have that, they can borrow it from their bank, and it gets deducted from their
Paycheck.
wages. solidarity in compensation, reporting of data to Mondragon headquarters, no internal competition between co-ops are allowed. So they cannot compete against each other. This is some of the impressive results for innovation. They have 564 family patents, 160 million euro invested in R&D, 15 research and development centers, 2,096 people in research centers, participating in 91 R&D projects in Europe, 19% sales with new products. Okay, this is the comparison pyramid between the regular capitalist corporation and the cooperative. You see the pyramid of power, it's top down in the conventional. Authority comes top down. In the Mondragon is bottom up. And it's based on conviction values, basically their commitment to that cooperative values. Here's another comparison between the conventional companies and the cooperatives. In conventional, capital has the power, and the labor is under that. But in cooperative, labor has the power, and capital is subordinate to that. They have high efficiency because consensus between managers and workers, not the case in trade unions. Workers hire managers, not the other way. They live nearby with no major social difference. Again, as I said, highest salaries can't be more than 6 times the lowest. Highly motivated workers have no need for supervisors, so therefore that's a money saving. Temporary redundant workers are sent to school or go to other co-ops. There are no layoffs, while Spain has 25% unemployment today. One of the things that happened to them, they had this washing machine factory called Fagor. It couldn't compete with the Chinese. They used robots and maybe a few workers, and the Chinese had all workers, and Chinese could do it cheaper. Basically, the Chinese make like Whirlpool, all the major brands in the US is made in China. So Fagor had to go down, but they are waiting as they have indicated here. They either go to school, they also have a point system. They look at the situation to see how long they have worked. If they have worked a long time, they offer them early retirement. Otherwise, they give them option to go to school or to be absorbed in other cooperatives. So that's the case of one company that went down. Intercooperation is the network, is the strategy, and that's the key to their success. Again, that diagram I want to emphasize that the network of co-ops is based on these 4 pillars of education, welfare, financial, and R&D centers. So they support each other. That's the key to their success. Here I'm summarizing. As workers and owners, they are masters of their economic destiny, owing nothing to outside shareholders or the state. They have abolished the distinction between capital and labor. This is their logo, and they call themselves humanity at work. Richard Wolff has a book called Democracy at Work, and he promotes this concept as an alternative to capitalism. Now I have a short clip, about 6 minutes. It's out of one of Richard Wolff's talks about Mondragon, and there is a documentary about cooperatives in general. So there is a mention of many co-ops in the US. Inside also there is a clip from Mondragon. The part from Mondragon is in Spanish, but it has English subtitles. So let's see that.
Does the co-op only use Spanish, or does it use the native Basque language at all?
Oh, they're in Basque, yeah. They're mostly from Basque. But
So they don't use Spanish primarily?
no, in Basque they speak their own language. I mean, if they are from Basque.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it, just wondering.
Yeah, Basque is a quite different language. It's not related to.
It's in its own family.
Yes, it's totally.
Fascinating.
So they don't bring in people from Spain or any other countries that come in,
Well, they have, yeah.
but they more or less have to learn the Basque.
No. Okay, sorry. No, there is no Basque requirement. But I'm saying the ones who are Basque speak Basque. But of course, if somebody is Spanish, they speak Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah, there is no.
Yeah, I have to go to work myself right now.
There is no chauvinism on that.
So much for these updates. I wanted, and I know that had a little bit of bad news in the last little while, so now we're going to have good news. And I really mean that. It is a remarkable story I'm about to tell you, but before we do it, I'm going to ask the lights to go down. Matt's here to help. It's a very short 8 minutes of a film being made here in the United States by Melissa Young. That's Melissa Young there, I believe. About this kind of opera, and it'll be a nice introduction for us into what I'm going to say. So just 8 minutes. I work here as an employee, but I also own one share of the company. I have a say in what happens with the company, which is awesome.
We have a stake, we have skin in the game, as they say. It's a real business, we have goals to meet, but there's just this environment that we all love what we're doing, and it's very meaningful to us, and we all want it to work.
I have worked at large corporations where there's a huge hierarchy. It takes a lot of energy to operate in an environment like that. We put our energy towards our projects and our products.
In most other companies, I couldn't share in the decision making because I wouldn't have a vote. And at the end of the day, if the work I did produced profit, I wouldn't get to share in that because it would be going somewhere else. If I was concerned about what this was doing to the community, if I worked for another business, that wouldn't matter.
Cualquier empresario del exterior le dirá que lo más importante sea sacar el máximo beneficio. Nosotros decimos que la rentabilidad y el beneficio es importante para sostener a la empresa, pero que también es muy importante la generación de empleo.
We believe that it isn't good for anybody if somebody loses their job. If you lose your job, you haven't got money. If you haven't got money, you can't buy. If you can't buy, you can't buy our product.
El reparto de la riqueza más equitativa llega a más personas y por lo tanto más personas tienen la posibilidad de vivir más o menos bien.
La empresa es nuestra, pero somos trabajadores también, ¿no? Entonces no hay como un jefe que pueda haber en otras empresas, ¿no? Todos somos nuestros jefes y todos tenemos que tirar para adelante con la empresa.
La gran mayoría de las personas se integre más, se envuelva más y por tanto podemos ser más competitivos y competir con la empresa más mejor del mundo. Es el futuro, entendemos, del mundo laboral también.
En aquella sociedad anónima era realmente la sensación de trabajar para otro, acabar la hora y a casa y se acabó. Esto es algo como que forma parte más de nuestra vida, ¿no? Porque tomamos parte desde la cabeza hasta la cola de la organización, ¿no?
Al final que tenemos trabajo es muy importante. Muchas veces hay empresas que son capitalistas, si hay un tipo de paro, pues vas a la calle. Habrá unos que salen mal y otros mejor, pero tienes trabajo, no te mandan a la calle.
soy la segunda generación de una familia cooperativista. Las tres hermanas somos socias en favor. Lo han hecho la generación de mis padres, nos lo han dejado en herencia y tenemos que seguir trabajando para dejar esa herencia a nuestros hijos.
Companies in this era of capital and job mobility are not really anchored in place. They're not really loyal to the communities in which they reside. And so as companies come and go from our communities, it kind of rips the economic underpinnings.
People losing their homes, the foreclosure crisis here, it's just been devastating. They say you keep doing the same old thing, you get the same results. And people are looking for results right now that's going to make a difference in people's lives.
We give incentives to businesses and they come into the town and they say, well, we're going to move here, and we give them some money, and 10 years when the incentive's over, they say, well, what town should we move to next?
And my daddy's from Tennessee.
This was a unique idea that people would own the business. So the business can't pick up and move unless every single person who worked there said, yeah, we'll move to Florida.
This is a business and we're a co-op. We all have to have a strong mentality that what Evergreen and Ohio Solar is trying to do is going to work for us in our community.
Oh yeah, I work this machine, that machine, that machine, that. I'll be all over the place. Everybody does everything, so we kind of rotate and move around. Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
We own this place. That's an extra reason to go to work, you know. Say like it's a house. If you rent it, not so much, but if you own it, you know, that's a big deal. As you could see, this is about, this is a full-length film. You just saw a short trailer. I don't know exactly.
Well, I'll stop that and open for discussion, comments. Yes.
Do you know what the name of that full-length film is?
Which one?
The film that we just saw, you said it's a full-length film, do you know what what is it called, Shift Change?
Yeah, well, shiftchange.org, so
Thanks.
that should get it to you, reach it.
Are there other businesses in the town of Mondragon not owned by the co-op?
Very few, yeah. It's a regular town with all its
So it's a
businesses.
company town in the best sense of the
Yeah.
word.
The majority are with the co-op, but then not everybody lives there. Some people live outside. Like I was in St. Victoria, and this guy actually, Amy Goodman interviews him. If you search Democracy Now, there's an interview with this guy that I mentioned. He interviews him, she interviews him in his own house in Victoria. Yeah.
What's their relationship with the government, like with regard to taxes? Do individuals pay taxes based on their salary, or does the company pay tax to the government?
They pay tax to Basque government, and Basque deals with the Spanish government. So Basque has autonomy in that region.
And what's the relationship to the new party in Spain? We were talking about-
Podemos?
Yeah.
Yeah. They, as I said, they try to stay neutral, even though individuals, they have their own political beliefs, but the corporation doesn't have a political, I guess.
And they're okay with the euro?
They're okay with
The euro, I mean,
the euro?
they're on the euro.
They're on euro. Yeah. One criticism is that the corporations, the companies or the workers they have that are non-members, like now they have branches all over the world actually. They actually have some in the US or some in China. And people who work in those places are not members, they are workers. So some criticize that. They say, well, you're exploiting these workers. And
Do they take non-Spaniards as members?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. But see, there is a waiting list to become a member. I mean, people first join on a trial basis. They become a worker. And as I said, they pay higher than regular workers outside. So people are eager to join. But not everybody can immediately become a member. They need to have space and then absorb them. So if there are tough times, then they might not accept them as quickly.
One thing that occurs to me is, oftentimes, from what I understand, cooperatives that get established in the U.S. get crowded out by ruthless competition from the capitalist firms that drive them under. And they're saying that they have been able to survive partly because they have this whole network of
Yes,
of
that's the key. Yeah, that's what I mentioned. The key to their success is that network of co-ops. If one goes down, the others take care of them. Because, yeah, other co-ops in other places exist, but they go down, and then, nobody helps them. But this network of co-ops, we should call it inter-cooperation. They protect each other.
So, I mean, that of course raises the question for those of us in the U.S. that would like to establish such things as to,
yes,
it's somewhat more difficult, shall we say. But, basically, it definitely indicates that to the extent possible, forming whatever networks you can form is probably helpful.
Yeah, they say this is possible everywhere. They don't say this is only for Basque. They actually promote it. That's why they have this very big, outreach. And so, I wanted to mention people who have visited. Gail McLaughlin, mayor of Richmond, Green mayor of Richmond. She was one of the visitors there. And Richard Wolff has been there several times. And Amy Goodman. And you?
I just wonder what's going to happen in the future as trends continue in privately owned corporate factories towards extreme mechanization, what do they call it, robots doing everything. Like it's true of automobile manufacturing. Human workers will be replaced. There's no way human workers can compete with robots. So eventually they'll have to do the same at Mondragon, their factories too. The human workers will be completely obsolete in all manufacturing facilities.
Well, as I mentioned, it actually worked the other way. The human factory in China defeated the robot factory of Mondragon, in the case of that washing machine factory. So it wasn't the other way. But overall, you're right. I mean, there is a documentary about the workers in Circuit City, which was a chain that went down. And one of the employees said, when you are in the supermarket, don't go to the automatic checkout. Go to the one with the cashier. Because that will eventually get rid of all those employees. So that's true. But in case of Mondragon, that washing machine factory was using robots, but it couldn't compete with the one in China that was only man.
But it was worker owners who made the investment decision to put their capital into robots.
Yes.
And to allow the human workers to tend to other priorities.
Right. It was their own decision, as we saw in the structure. They decide the structure and their own managers, the supervisors, and all that.
It seems to me there was an agreement in the last 6 months between Mondragon and the Cooperative Bank here in the United States that is trying to bring that model here to the U.S. more, and that they're active maybe in Cleveland.
They have some collaborations. But all the ones that are here are not members, they're workers. But this model can be implemented as they suggest. They think anyone, anywhere can implement this model.
Now, one of the things that I'd heard also with this is that the reason that they don't have members in other places is that the culture is not there for directing themselves, and that people just didn't know how to deal with that.
It's true. This concept is a paradigm shift. Like they mentioned, in China they couldn't understand this concept.
Yeah.
And or other places, you see, they also don't need trade unions. That model of the unions doesn't work here because they own them. And all the workers own the place. So there is no trade union. So it takes some time for this paradigm shift, people to understand what it is.
Yeah.
People have been talking about because of what's going on in Greece, and they're looking in Spain. In a sense, is Mondragon safe in a sense, or is a possibility because of something's going wrong in Spain that Mondragon might also suffer?
Well, Mondragon cannot suffer because of that. But it's a good point now for me to mention some about the politics. This is, ECO is the Green Party of Spain. And they are in collaboration with Podemos. Podemos is the main progressive party, meaning we can, that just won the mayor in Barcelona. A woman who was active in the Indignados movement, the home eviction demonstrations, all that. She was just elected mayor of Barcelona. And in November, they're having general elections. Now, Podemos is a party. It's different than Syriza. Syriza is a coalition. In Syriza, the Greek Greens are members. So, but Podemos is one party. But it gets help from others, but they don't think the chances of Podemos winning is as high as Syriza. But we have to see. There's also the left bloc in Portugal. So there is, with Syriza winning, there is high excitement with all this new left. The old traditional left are not happy. So this, the socialism in the 21st century is beating the old socialism of the 20th century.
Well, it seems to me that Mondragon would fit in with that, but they of course have to stay neutral because of their...
Yeah, they still have that mentality from Franco time.
Yeah.
They haven't changed that because during Franco they couldn't express any political belief.
But they are part of the new paradigm, which the parties are too, so it's, they do connect, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, naturally you can see that they're left.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah, I mean, a win of Podemos will help them too. But, you know, again, they are totally independent from the political system. Yeah.
So, just one comment piggybacking off that, the Cooperative Federation itself does sticks to neutral positions, but if you look at if you're looking at a list of cities around the world that are participating in solidarity or solidarity protests or in some solidarity protests, whether it's an environmental one or a labor one or whatnot, the Basque region is usually on that list of protest cities. So if you pay attention to that, you will see that the individuals there do have absorbed that culture, even if it's not codified by the Federation.
Yes. That's a good point. And again, history here. During the Civil War, I mean, oftentimes when they ask Noam Chomsky, okay, you criticize all these capitalist models, what's your favorite? The only thing he mentions is the anarchist model during Spanish Civil War, which I'm sure these Mondragon co-ops are inspired from that because they started right after the Civil War and in Basque, which was fighting Franco. So I'm sure this was inspired because as you see, this is more horizontal leadership, which is an anarchist model. But again, they don't express it in political terms. But you can see this is a horizontal anarchist model.
My question is what extent does outside economic activity have on the co-op? I mean, to what degree do outside purely capitalist markets impact it? And I have to ask because there has to be some outside impact.
Well, there was, as I mentioned, the Chinese washing machine factory could defeat Mondragon's washing machine.
So
but the way they deal with it, it's not like they sell and move to China. They just absorb them or put them back to school or put them in other cooperatives. That's the way they deal with it, instead of saying, okay, we move to China too. So.
And they just innovate their way to new jobs.
Yes, yes. That's why they have their own university.
Yeah, they also are
R&Ds.
a major supplier of parts for the automotive industry in Europe.
That sounds kind of like self-absorbed. Is there any kind of like evangelism, you know, like, you know what I mean by putting the message out and teaching other people how to do this this way?
Yeah, they have a big department for outreach. I mean, that's why they accepted me. They gave me the tour, and that guy is in charge of that. He has a kind of a movie house. He shows the film and then takes you around. People go all the time. There are groups that go take a tour, and different people. Amy Goodman was there, Richard Wolf, you know, Gail McLaughlin. So they encourage that. They like to promote their model.
How can we help?
But, well, you can promote the idea.
Doing it now.
You can take it to your community and implement this model.
Well, you have to build a certain number before you've got the network.
Yes, you need to build that network. That's the key. The network is the key.
And that's where your problem is. He would love to be in one, but there isn't enough to build the model to make it
So you have
safe,
to have, not
to
just
make it
in one
safe.
sector, you have to have co-ops in different sectors and go together. Like, you see, Father Arizmendi started Mondragon. There is Arizmendi bread in California, named after that's a cooperative. But those are all just one sector. Like, this is just one bread, or this is the other one, something else. But there should be a network of them.
Right.
I mean, I was told that there are networks forming here and in different places, but maybe not at that level.
Right, we have one in Austin. We're trying to set up a bank in Houston, but you know, these are little seeds. We need a magic bean.
Do they have any kind of a marketing logo or something? So buy this instead of, I mean, would that
This is
certainly
the
not
logo.
work in the United States?
This is the logo.
Okay, so people know that when they buy the product.
Well, no. They have many products.
Okay.
Well, they have Eroski supermarket. You know.
They sell most of it. They don't sell it through other establishments.
Well, each co-op has its own, has
the
its own
brand.
name and logo.
Yeah.
Like the washing machine was Fagor. The elevator, something else. You know, escalator, something else. There are 100 cooperatives in this complex.
I just Googled Orbea bicycles. There's one in North Little Rock.
Okay.
In fact, it's a North Little Rock. They're making bicycles, supposedly. The link is dead, but I'm going to buy a bicycle or get a bicycle. Can I use hours, not dollars?
Better than euros.
Yeah, euros is what.
Well, they didn't have any alternative form of money, as far as I could hear.
Yeah, you said they're on the euro.
They're on euro, yeah. They have their own bank, you know, Caja Laboral, you know, workers. Yes.
Do you know anything about like because I know California has a lot of cooperatives already in place, but I've heard that it's very difficult to get like the co-op model